Welcome back to This is the Jugo. I'm Ray. This is Zach. We've got so many things to cover from last episode to this episode. So we've got hot takes. We've got a deep dive that I don't think we even did on the last episode.
We did not do our internet.
So that's going to be really cool and to actually unfold that. But then also we have the continuation of our male character, Noah. But we're not going to talk about the fallen Noah. So we're going to really kind of flip the script on all the understanding that we have outside of what we know originally just from the world and just talking about the building of his ark. So I'm going to take lead now on the hot take because I think there's some really cool, interesting things, right? It's going on in the U.S. right now, and this is, obviously have a personal stance on it. Okay. We're going to talk about dyes. Okay. And how some states are leading the pathway of removing some from food dyes. Yes. And, I did a quick, just a little something to make sure I got my notes intact. So just to understand what dyes we're talking about red number 3 and red 40. We're talking about yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1, 2, and green 3, which I don't even know. I don't think I've ever seen green 3. But there's a couple states that are really kind of crack down on stuff like this. And I feel like, especially when we take a stance and look outside of the U.S. Dyes is like such a thing that we just talked about right now. They're not a thing. And there's so much correlation to how it affects us physically, mentally, specifically, you see it a lot in children. But I just want to know, what's your stance on this? Okay, we're coming into a world where, hey, we're trying to be healthier, okay? And now we're like, all right, we're cracking things down that I think are a benefit. What do you think about that?
I love this. So this is, all right, let me just set this up.
Okay.
Number one, I love health, right?
Yeah.
I love personal health.
Very.
That's a key word that I want you to remember. Personal health.
Okay.
I'm all for RFK with the MAHA, which is Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah.
It's great that we are able to put a focal point on how detrimental it is. The things that you are consuming can be at a detriment. If you're just eating these horrible things, it's going to impact your quality of life.
Absolutely.
With that being said,
okay,
here's my stance on banning of the food dyes.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, I am a strong supporter of personal health. When it comes to personal,
okay,
I'm an American citizen, so I am fully.
Are you going Evel Knievel right now?
I am fully on board with personal freedoms. So I find that by banning food dyes,
Okay.
you are taking away my personal freedom to choose
Okay.
what I want to consume and put in my body. Now, I think
Okay. I got you.
with the MAHA, with Make America Healthy Again,
Right.
you should be able to educate the public on, okay, these things are bad,
Right.
and do with that information as you will. Okay. I'm comfortable with that being as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Like a concerted effort by the government giving you a suggestion that you might not want to consume these particular things.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like when you're taking that away and I can't make the choice of if I want a bag of Pops, and I know that they're unhealthy, but does that stop me from eating an entire thing of Pops whenever I buy them?
Right.
No.
Right.
What do? I personally cannot buy a box of Pops.
Yeah.
Because I will eat the entire box right then and there.
Okay.
But I have the choice to not buy them. Now, what if we say, okay, Pops are unhealthy.
Yeah.
We got to take them away entirely.
Okay.
That's what is the concern, is we start with putting a pause on the food dyes. I no longer have the choice of getting my favorite candy called Sour Strips because there's no red dye 40. If you've ever had Sour Strips, it's probably the most red dye 40 you'll ever have.
Yeah.
But it is the best sour candy that you can purchase. I don't want to live in a world where I cannot buy my Sour Strips.
Okay.
So to me, what makes sense is don't ban them.
Right.
Give other options and let the market adjust.
Okay.
When we look at Coke,
Mhm.
not cocaine, when we look at Coke, the drink,
Good clarification.
I don't have a graph on this, but I'm willing to bet that Coke Zero
Uh-huh.
is more popular than Coke
Okay.
itself.
Yeah.
Which one's more unhealthy? Just from a calorie standpoint, Coke is like 150 calories versus
Yeah.
Coke Zero being 0 calorie.
Right.
Now there's like aspartame and stuff like that, but I would
Mhm.
argue
Okay.
that the downsides of sugar that
Mhm.
you would find in a Coke
Mhm.
are minimal. No, the downsides from the aspartame in a Coke Zero and a 0 calorie beverage
Okay.
is minimal compared to what happens when you consume Coke.
Okay.
And so what has happened over the past few years is
Mm.
Coke Zero has surged in popularity.
Mhm.
Se- all these energy drinks have surged in popularity
Right.
because they are lower calorie. If you look at alcoholic beverages, the lower calorie beverages are surging in popularity because it's like we're coming online and making a more healthy decision.
Yeah.
So if you just took Coke away entirely because it has sugar and sugar is bad, therefore you can't have it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not okay with that.
I think because we're so I like your stance, right? I like to and yours. It's almost like I almost see it biblically and like, okay, you
You say biblically?
I almost think of biblically in the fact of like you love free will. Like you love free will. So
Yeah.
so so I'm like, okay. And I think to that understanding of it, like in its most simplest form, I can get where your stance is, right? And then the secondary, I want to make sure I got this correct, is like, so you not only do like free will, but your stance is like, instead of removing completely, it's like, hey, let's boast from a governmental standpoint on education, right,
Yeah.
of dyes and what they can do as far as for personal health, physically, mental health, and all those things, right? So I think what to ping pong it, I would say, one, I don't think they would spend governmental money or resources to its education to do so. And for the fact of the matter is, we live at a time frame where education is so accessible, right? Through social media, through internet, through Google, all of the search engines. So I think that would be the only downfall to that aspect. And the alternatives are already a thing. That play is already in motion. There's a lot of alternatives for a lot of different things currently. So I outside of your strong stance on sour strips, right? I think it's a much easier situation than just to remove and then bring in the alternative as like the new norm versus like, hey, let's cater to both and just hopefully the humanity educates themselves, which they can already do already. And not out us to have to try to deploy like general resources to educating them because I just don't see how show me in time where a government has said like, "Hey, we need to focus on our humanity and like let's educate them in this capacity outside of like control."
But actually, on that point,
Right.
if you look at the back of
Mm.
any food, anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
you see like the caloric, where it's like 150 calories and it has all the nutritional facts.
Yeah.
There was actually a point in time where that wasn't like a thing that you could easily see.
Right.
And so the government made it a point to highlight that so people are aware of the food facts or the nutrition facts that they are
Yeah.
intaking. So that's like one example of where the government did
Step in.
step in to educate on that source that
Yeah.
was entering.
No, I think that's a strong argument because you're right. Absolutely. It's because I obviously there's some things have been put in place to educate, and I would say I guess to contrary, would you say because nutritional facts are there and the stance is like, let's ban these. Are we, for a governmental standpoint, or what would be their plan? Would it be to like, let's put a big arrow from the front of this label to the back of this label to make sure these people like actually look what's in it to like, this is consumed with dyes, or maybe like something that specifies that,
Yeah.
and not be that. And so then it's like, okay, so then,
Just like cigarettes,
okay,
not to cut you off in that point,
yeah,
but cigarettes
Mhm.
back in the day,
Right.
it was not widely known
Correct.
about the impacts that they had.
Right.
So the Surgeon General, literally, if you buy a pack,
Mhm. Marvel.
it literally says
Yeah.
this causes cancer, or it says something wild on the front
Mm.
to let the
I can say.
and to let the consumer know.
Right.
And that's not going to deter everyone,
Of
but
course.
you're still giving them the information that's needed up front
Right.
for the public to make an educated
The
choice.
free will.
So you
Yep.
could have any item that is sold with food dyes, it has to be very evident in the front because it is very misleading.
Mhm.
Like I'll buy a pack of whatever, not thinking that there's food dyes in it, and you
Right.
gotta read in the little. It's like,
It's a tiny font for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
It's like 6.5.
yeah. So improve upon that.
Okay. So I would say in an aspect, because I think you're absolutely right, because there is aspect of where there's steps, measures have taken place to help educate, but we also know that there, although with those measurements of education and providing that knowledge, it's still an abundant factor that's declining the American body health. We'll just kind of lump us in, right? Because theoretically, on charts, like US is up there
Right.
as far as just overall body health. So is it like, I know free will, and there probably there'll be a lot of people that have that stance as well. Like, hey, it's in there. Like, I think a lot of people that already have a stance on health and have an understanding of like what they should consume haven't already educated themselves within dyes and what the long term effects. So it's like, yeah, and I could say that I could be an advocate for like, all right, oh my bad, I can be an advocate for like, yeah, I'm gonna turn that thing around. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, put this thing back. But I already have an understanding of health and like how I want to treat this vessel, and from an embodiment of like from humanity within the US, like if the government said, hey, let's ban this so like we can just really just help navigate and almost kind of do a kind of a reset, because what we've done is a lot of these things in there
Yeah.
so that we can honestly gouge prices and make things cheaper. Now look at the dynamic of what we've created and the result of that.
Yeah.
And so what if they step in with like, this is not from like, we want to take it free whistle, but we kind of want to help reset the next wave of people, of Americans, to be the healthier versions that we probably should have been, but because we love money and greed
Yeah.
and manufacturing and a lot of things, other places to like deter that factor of like this, the body of health just wasn't important.
Yeah, that's a
But
good point because companies will not, they're not incentivized.
no,
They're incentivized by money.
right.
And if that is the cheaper option to include the food dyes, then 100% they're going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just not of the frame of mind. I don't think that that's the place of the government. So I'm
Okay.
very much for small government,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then either let the people or let the states do what
Okay.
has to be done.
Yeah.
Another example, and this is another example is I don't see how we can justify banning food dyes
Hmm.
and we still have like that this bottle of liquor, if it was full,
Hmm.
if I consumed this entire bottle of liquor
Hmm.
in one sitting,
Yeah.
I would die.
Yeah.
Like literally right like within moments, or I don't know how long it takes.
Mhm.
My liver would shut down, my kidneys would explode or whatever,
Yeah.
and I would die. But it's still a legal thing to buy liquor, to buy alcohol.
Yeah.
And so I can't get behind banning food dyes. I get that they're awful,
Mhm.
and like you said, we're a little bit more on the health conscious side.
Yeah.
So get people on the health conscious side.
Yeah.
You can vote with your wallet by not purchasing those things,
For
and
sure.
companies will shift when they see that, okay, out of two options, option with food dye is
Mm.
making less profit.
Mhm.
Then there's going to be a shift in the market.
Yeah.
That's where I'm more so on.
I'm shocked. I generally thought, I was like, your stance would go, if you had a stance on the contrary to this hot take, would be on by banning food dyes, right? We understand that dyes are kind of in there for the fact that like it's a cheaper way to make X and Y product. And so that we can mass produce, sell at a cheaper price, we can get off the shelves more, and that revenue just keeps a piling. I thought your stance would, it had to be on the opposite of this, of maybe like I said, not leaning towards this is a benefit. It would be more from like an economical financial standpoint, where it's like, hey, if we're banning food, all these foods that do have dyes, now requiring you to have the healthier option, the alternative, it's more expensive to produce. Now, from this is going to be the negative standpoint is that cost of food is going to rise because it's healthier. As we already know, healthier stuff already costs more. So that's what I be honest, I'm not, I'm making this thing. I truly thought I was like, okay, if he's going to say that it's going to be economic, fine.
That's a part of it. Like
Yeah.
if I were to lay out like all of my points,
Yeah.
that would definitely be like point number 3.
Okay.
But my highest point is
Your
don't impact.
Henry sour strips.
Yes, don't impact my free will
Your guilty
as
pleasure.
an American citizen.
Okay.
Not for it.
Gotcha.
But then, like I love taking points that I make and going. But I think it's called steel manning.
Yeah.
It's like where you're trying to find.
You're weighing the pros and cons.
Right. Like I like this in pros and cons. And one of the pros is when you send your kids, because not everyone has the ability to have their kids in private school or homeschool.
Yeah.
A lot of children do go to public school.
Yeah.
And you're not able as a parent to really see exactly what they're eating. There was a recent Rogan podcast with Jillian Michaels. You know who Jillian Michaels is? She's like a pillar of health back in the day, like it was Jillian Michaels.
Okay.
So she was explaining like her kids are very knowledgeable on the impacts of eating poorly. And so she doesn't force her kids. Like you can't just force your kids to not eat it.
Yeah.
But when they're in the house, she's educating them. And when they're at home, they don't want to eat those things.
Yeah.
But when they are at school and those options are prevalent and they have the peer pressure from the other kids that are eating the Doritos and all this stuff.
Yeah.
You can't, as a parent, you can't control what they're eating at school. Wow. So by banning it at a public school or whatever, by banning it, you would be able to, I guess, take that aspect away where children are only eating what's healthy. So if you gave me an option where like 18 and under or public schools, that's where I would start. Like that's a point where I can stand with it because as like a public school receives funding from government or from state governments with your taxes.
Right.
So if you were to say that all public schools have to ban have to ban food dyes, okay, sign me up.
Got it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But 18 and over as an adult, you got to be able to make your decisions.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Basically like alcohol.
That I feel like that's such a strong point. I can go buy and literally kill myself with alcohol.
Yeah.
But you can ban dyes. And I don't think you should take alcohol away. We tried taking alcohol away.
Yeah.
The prohibition.
Yeah.
What did that lead to? Literally mobs. It also led to NASCAR, but it literally led to mobs. And so you get like this underground. Imagine if they ban dyes and there's a mob that like there are these gangs that are on the black market selling food dyes. Because I'm gonna get my pops. So if I have to go to a back market to get my pops and my whatever, people are gonna do it. That's why there's a drug market to begin with.
Fair.
Because it's illegal. It's like also something that's hardwired in us that we just want to
they can't have.
Which leads into Noah. We're not going into Noah right now, but people just want to rebel against what is.
Tell me no, and like, I'm gonna find me a way. Wow.
Yes.
Fair. Okay.
But I think that was a really good one. That was a good discussion point.
Yeah, man. I just like it's happening like in real life time, and like some states are leading the way. I think kind of like you said, if it's not from a governmental standpoint, like nationwide, like allow the states to make their own decisions and however input in whatever regulation they feel necessary.
Yeah.
And like you said, for in your circumstance where it's like, hey, when it comes to Jackson, and you're like, if you're doing the front end educational piece, right, as you can, as he grows up, to like, hey, these are the right, ingredients and nutrients that you need to fuel your body the right way. And to make sure your body is your temple, right?
Yeah.
You're coaching and educating that at the household. And you want those, what do you call them? You said the word earlier. When he goes to school and other kids are pressure, the peer pressure, right? Yeah. If you wanted those peer pressure aspects eliminated, from even being an option.
Yeah.
And that's in place, then that you're all for it.
Yeah.
I think it makes some sense.
All for it.
Complete sense.
But no, I think that with health in general, it goes perfect into this deep dive that I fell into this rabbit hole this week on, do you know who David Goggins is?
Who doesn't?
Okay, I thought you were going to say no.
Okay, for context, I don't have any social media. So like, yeah, I'm
There's like a
usually
50% chance you might not.
I'm the last to know things,
Yeah.
but I do have YouTube.
Okay.
So
So for
but anyway,
if you happen, there's no way you don't know who David Goggins is, but if you don't know who
let me
David
phrase.
Goggins is, essentially it's a really incredible story that like his life
Yeah.
is like this motivational. He was like
Build.
300 pounds. He was an exterminator, and he just looked at his life and he's like, I'm not okay with the direction that my life is heading right now. So he went to the extreme of losing all that weight, went through buds, became a Navy SEAL,
Mhm.
and now is like this pillar of mental fortitude and discipline.
Mhm.
So what I'm about to say in the deep dive, it's not coming from a place of like disrespect. Definitely all respect to David Goggins and what he stands for. Mental discipline is extremely important.
Yeah.
But David Goggins, this man might be mentally ill. I think there is no, like it's an absolute fact that David Goggins has like an amount of mental illness
Okay.
in order to propel him through the things that he's able to do. This man is running 250, like 200 miles. He'll run with broken feet, with his knees are like producing pus and his body is attacking it, and he has no cartilage between his knees.
Mhm.
Like I get the mental piece,
Mhm.
but longevity, that that machine's not gonna run. If I'm thinking of like operational management,
Right.
you gotta put some oil in the car at some time. You can't just keep driving, driving, driving. What I fell down the rabbit hole is he did a training with Israel Adesanya.
Mhm.
Okay. He did a training with
The last airbender.
okay, Stylebender.
Stylebender?
Stylebender.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
Gotcha.
he did a training with him in Vegas because that's where David lives.
Mhm.
This is perfect because you haven't seen this video, have you?
No,
Okay.
but I do know who Adesanya is.
So Stylebender is a UFC elite athlete. So it kind of comes with the course that he has like a level of mental discipline that us
Right.
mere humans just don't have.
Physical.
But there's levels to this. So
Mhm.
Stylebender is mentally tough.
Yeah.
David Goggins is just mentally like it's absurdity. So in this video that I'm watching, it's like an hour workout that they do. I don't know how long the workout is. I actually think it's more than an hour. The video just happens to be an hour.
Mhm.
They start off the video and he's like scream laughing. David is he's like, ha 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 ha. And Israel is like throwing up into a bucket. And David is just like laughing as hard as he can. So let me just walk you through what happens. He's trying to build in like a level of conditioning for Israel because I guess he had like a fighter or coming up or something. I guess Israel just wanted to train with the guy. So the workout is it's like an airdyne bike, and then they go on stair stepper.
Okay.
And so at a certain point in the workout, you can just tell it's evident that Israel is not able to keep up. Like David's conditioning is so much more
Well,
that Israel is just like literally falling off the machine.
yeah.
So he's on the stair stepper, he starts falling off, and David's like, pick him up. Because he has like his posse around Israel. He's like, pick him up. And so he falls off the machine. He picks him back, like the team picks him up,
Okay.
like sets him on the thing.
Right.
And David's like, if you got to hold on to the handles, you get 10 seconds and then you let go. So Israel is struggling. And so he had like the mini fall.
Uh-huh.
And then he's like, you can tell he's just like not in it. Like he's just like in la la land.
He got none left. He's running on E.
Have you ever, like during football or during some type of condition and you hear like the ringing and you know like heat stroke is about to set in?
Yeah.
That's the moment that he was at. Like this was his baseline at this point. You could just tell
I've got an H.
he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And what's hilarious is that he fully falls off the machine.
Gosh.
Fully falls off. David looks at him and says, where he says, where your world ends, mine begins. Presses the machine to a higher level
Yeah.
and then just keeps marching. He said, where your world ends, mine begins.
Right.
And it's hilarious to watch because Israel like climbs back on it.
Mhm.
And then afterwards they're doing a debrief.
Okay.
And David is like, during the whole workout, I was letting you set the pace. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, if you were on level 6, I would go to 7 so that you could see that it could be done, but I wasn't going too far in front of you to where you thought that it was like impossible. So I was giving you hope, and then I was like taking the hope away from you. But like I said, the funny thing there is that there's like mental illness in the mental discipline that David Dobbins has. Like this man is on a different level. People should definitely and it goes into like in part 1 of the episode we talked about the morning routine.
Yeah.
He's like, that mental discipline part is what I leaned on
Yeah.
to be able to wake up at 4 because last year I was horrible at waking up any moments with 4-7.
Mhm.
Like I would set my alarm clock and I would, no lie, like wake up. I was supposed to wake up at 5 to a workout. I wouldn't wake up until 8 and work starts at 8.
Okay.
So it was an issue.
Yeah.
So I literally have, and I still do this to this day, I have to set my alarm in the bathroom, which forces me
To get it.
to wake up
Right.
and go turn off my thing. And so 2025, I've been focused more on mental discipline,
Mhm.
but I'm not mentally ill like that. Like there's like his catchphrase is who's gonna carry the boats? I can raise my hand and say not me. Like I will watch you carry the boats.
Yeah.
I'm not carrying those boats.
Right.
Like there's levels where I'll just turn it off. Like I know I've told you this before, but uh during like summer 2-a-days,
Mhm.
there would be moments where I'm running and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this.
Right.
Coach, I got asthma. And he'd be like, all right, Zach, stop.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't push through that. And so is that a detriment?
Mhm.
Sure. But looking back on it, who cares? I stopped running.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the world.
Right.
But for some people, you kind of need that the person to push through.
Oh, yeah.
But what was your story you were gonna say about
Oh, I mean, this kind of hits, but not really. But I mean, yeah, to just I'll share this piece and then I'll get into the story of like kind of where I'm headed with this mental discipline thing. But like, yeah, I feel like whenever we find or like there's someone that is great at something, like genuinely great at it. Like I feel like it always comes back to like there is an obscene obsession, right? That they can't falter to be. They have to be the best at it at any second, any minute of the time, right? Like that's just what it is. It captivates their entire world. Like they have to, whatever it takes, they're going to do it. And so I think he's just embodied that obsession aspect of like, I'm going to be the strongest person mentally in any scenario, no matter what. And he's done it so many times where he's taken himself there alone.
yeah.
It's one thing. It's one thing to bring somebody else to have that like companion to like lean on. Like, okay, we're struggling. Like I'm struggling, but we're struggling type of thing. So it's like I can still keep pressing because I've got you on my side, right? It's kind of like that band of brothers thing,
Right.
But if you get to push yourself to that element or that level, and you're by yourself, and you're able to do that continuously, day after day, and then when you get to a point where you're like, in this scenario, it's like, hey, I'm gonna set I'm gonna let you set the pace and let you know that, "Hey, I'm gonna go a step further, but you can do this." And then when you die, I'm gonna get to, like I'm gonna get to where I'm really my level of fitness and mental capacity is at really at, and I'm gonna just jack that thing up.
Yeah.
Like, that is insane. And it's I mean, for the normal version, like, we can't get to that level because we've also never done it that many times. And I feel like the one thing is, like, we're okay with saying that, but, like, if David Goggins was, like, here in this moment, like, he would say, "Okay, in your mindset right now rhymes with fussy." Okay, that's what you are right now.
Yeah.
Alright? That you're that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Imma have to eat that one, like, 'cause take that one on the chin, man. Cause hey, holy cow.
Right.
But yeah, I would say from just, like, athletics, right, you end up having there's times where mental discipline has to come out. Things are gonna get tough, things get hard, and, like, you definitely have to push through, whether it's an injury, sometimes it could be even further than like, because sometimes you're injured, but you can still keep going, and then until there's actually something like or detrimentally wrong, and you should stop. And we're able to tap into that, just keep us pushing. So this is post athletics, by the way, like post athletics,
Okay.
and a period of time when I wasn't working out, wasn't running, and um, My son has like, he'd been doing like this track thing, and it's like the very last day, they had a little competition. And then all of a sudden they're like, all right, so we've got this mile race for the parents.
I'm already out.
And basically it was not the parents, it was the dads. And then my wife's like, looks at me, you gonna do it? Parent, I mean, at this point,
The decision was made.
I'm completely out of shape. I'm not up to, to run, especially not a race. Like, even if you just tell me to go, run a mile, all right, I'm gonna knock it out. But this was to race a mile against competitors. My son just competed against competitors. So now I've got to raise my serotonin level of like, I'm competing.
Yeah.
So I get out, I'm running. I think I'm at like, I think I'm like, I think I was at third at the time. I was third. There's probably like, I think there's probably like 15 of us running. And I'm sitting at third, and I'm like, already, I know this is a pretty fast pace. And because these other two they're doing their thing. And I'm like, all right, my mind was like, okay, I'm probably not going to I'm not gonna be able to run out and just like leave people. That's just not gonna be my thing. But if I can at least close like at least be in closing distance, I can maybe find that next win or hit a gear at the very end, seal the deal. That's what I'm thinking. Mm, we got about halfway. We're getting to about, let's say a little over halfway of this mile. And then fatigue set in. And now I'm getting tired. I can generally tell I'm slowing down. And the problem with that is because where the route took us is that we can't see the crowd. I can't see my wife. I can't see my son. And I'm just like, okay, I've got to like try to maintain this spacing, or if they're about to leave me and they're starting to like increasingly separate. And I'm just thinking like, I'm sorry around E. And then I'm thinking like, man, I'm ready to shut this down. But mentally my body's like, this is over with. But I get around this chart. Now I can see the crowd. Now my wife can't see me, and now my son can see me. And I'm thinking like, oh my, I have to keep going. Like I cannot stop. This is the same thing I've been yelling at him. I can't stop. So now I'm literally, this is a mental battle of like, physically I want to shut it down.
Yeah.
And mentally I'm like, you can't stop.
Right.
Or you like, your framework as a dad is literally out the window. So I'm running, I'm keeping my pace. And it gets to a point where literally the ringing came in. And I kid you not, crowd was starting to get hyped because people were those two getting close. I am no longer near these two. So like that aspect of me winning was out the window. I was running on empty. And they can see me. I'm still trying to like muster something out. But it went to the point where I was so fatigued that it literally went silent. I heard nothing. I could hear literally nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. All I know is that my arms and legs are moving, but I want them to stop. And I remember like I'm getting closer. Some guy passes me, and I felt like Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights. Like, what was running off like, hold on. What was that? Those the other cars? Like, that's where I was meant to. I didn't hear him. Like, as if he snuck up on me. He could have karate chopped me. I would never knew. And I'm just like, oh, this is as fast as I can go. I literally have no more gears. I'm out of gears. And however slow I'm going is how I'm crossing this finish line. And that man passed me like I was moving in slow motion. And man, I needed help from everybody, mainly Jesus. If I was Ricky Bobby, Allah, but yeah, but I ended up, I finished.
Okay.
And I remember I finished and I didn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I went,
You gotta do it by yourself.
I finished and kept walking. And just like, I needed a quiet space to like regain my heart, mind, and soul. Cause I felt like all that left me at the time.
Right.
But I was like, okay, there's a time where I was like, all right, recently I was like, mentally strong came in, and it's only because I had eyes on me. If I didn't have those eyes on me, I don't really know if
Yeah.
I would have kept, I feel like I would have like, I may have walked, I don't know. Cause then I would have talked, if I would have talked myself, like, that's not you. And then I would have kept running. But it just the fact of like, I could be seen, it was like, I'm definitely going to run.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna still try.
I feel like that's where Israel probably was in that.
Yeah. With like those last couple of
Yeah. Because the
steps.
people were watching me.
My people are watching. Again, my people are watching me. My people pick me up, hoist me back on there, and then that's it. You guys
That's
take the
good.
left.
Running to me, like that's the there is a point when you're running and you're exerting so much effort,
Yeah.
like mentally you're trying your hardest, but there will become a point where your legs are just gonna stop.
Fun.
It just feels like you're just like like it's like sandbags. Like if
Yeah.
let's say you're running a 400.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 400 is a good example. Let's say you're running a 400.
Yeah.
When you hit that last 100,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have X amount left in the tank,
Yeah.
it's not like you're gonna be able to produce
Mm-mm.
more volume.
No.
It's like, okay, mentally, I want to win this race,
Of course.
but your legs are like, hey, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have started off a little bit slower.
Correct.
But we're like, this is where our body is at right now, and we're shutting down. We got 50 feet, we got 50 yards left. I'm done. We're falling. And that's when you see people fall at the finish line.
Yeah. No, 100%.
That's why, I'm not, I can't believe that they just nonchalantly said, hey, parents, we're going to run a mile. Why a mile? Why not like 400? That's insane to me. They could have killed someone.
I don't know. It was a mile though. And man, I thought I had it. I think I looked around the crowd. I was like, okay.
I bet if Goggins was there, you could have mustered through.
Yeah, wait.
You think so?
If Dave was there shouting that inspiration around me,
Yeah.
I guarantee I would have found a gear.
Yeah.
Now, would I have won? I'm not gonna say that.
You would have won for yourself.
I would have felt better about the gap.
Okay.
From me, from where I was, from fourth to first and second, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I would have felt really good about it.
So
My time was all right, though.
you were literally like on an island by yourself running that race. At least mentally, because you were like zoned out.
Yeah. I got to the point, like, I was so tired, I heard nothing. It was complete silence.
That's crazy. When you get to that point,
I haven't been that tired in a long time. I didn't know it that well.
So imagine you're on that island by yourself, or not. You're running and you can't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you know what the end goal is,
Right.
and you're just trying to get there.
Yeah.
Look at that with Noah.
Ooh,
that was a bit trans.
I was it because I was thinking, I was like, ooh, he about to turn his faith. He about to turn his faith. We about to turn his faith base.
We getting good at these transitions. Just think about Noah.
Well done.
He is
Yeah.
out there on his own in this world, like we already established in the first part.
Mm-hmm.
He's by himself in these mission to build this ark.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know. Well, I guess he doesn't know the. Dang, I had the good transition and then try filling it up. But I'll just say this.
Okay.
Because I want to transition into Noah.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were on your own, he's on his own.
Of course.
So now let's look at Noah in his loneliness.
Oh.
That could have been done better, but I got a little. I think I got hyped up.
I think you still brought it home though.
Yeah,
We're
not editing that. That's gonna be.
That's in
it.
It
Is
that's in it. You guys gonna catch that?
We gotta.
Because you know what?
We gotta live with it.
We're gonna get better at this. It's only a matter of time. But Noah in his loneliness. I can't wait till you bring context to this because like I think this is part of Noah that I don't know. Okay. And that obviously you're going to understand because it's like he hasn't been lonely his entire time of his life. I mean, would you stay for the point from point A to point B, building an ark, that's 120 years. Pre all that, he has never been alone. How is it that he gets to being lonely?
Well, okay. Well, when I say loneliness, I just mean the fact that no one else in his generation is on that same.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
he's literally just doing these things that God has commanded him to do, and he's obeying it, despite an entire generation of just like these rebel rousers, like you could say that,
right? Yeah,
these people that are just very far from God.
Yeah.
So spiritually, he's alone in that.
Okay. I'm thinking post ark.
Yeah, so post ark,
there is loneliness.
We're in this new world, right? We're in this new world, and one of the highlights that really stood out to me was the first action that Noah took after the waters receded, is that he offers a sacrifice. So once the waters left, and it says here. I don't have the verse here, but that's fine. We'll just read through it. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And when the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma, the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever again strike down every living creature as I have done. So the thing that really stood out to me there is it says the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma. And that for some reason that just stood out. I was like, pleasing aroma, like
Right.
that's interesting. I wonder where else in scripture that is mentioned. And then it sent me down this rabbit hole. So the pleasing aroma represents God's acceptance of genuine faith-filled worship. So now I'm thinking, okay,
Makes sense.
in Noah's time and pre-Christ, the form of worship was the sacrifices. They would take the animal and they do the sacrifice, and it was a form of worship. How does that translate into worship now? Because if you say worship, I instantly think of I'm singing a song,
Yeah.
elevation.
Right.
But it goes much deeper. It's more of a posture that you have where it's every moment is a moment of worship to God.
Okay.
So tying this in with Christ as being the ultimate pleasing aroma. So this goes, like I said, it started in Genesis, and now we're going to fast forward all the way to the church of Ephesus, which is Ephesians. The book of Ephesians is a letter that Paul writes to the church of Ephesus. So Paul writes in 5:2, it says, Paul explicitly, oh wait, sorry. In Ephesians 5:2, let me reorient. It says that okay, here it is. Ephesians 5:2, sorry. So it says, and walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us, a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. So Christ is that pleasing aroma,
Right.
which I like blew my mind when I was reading through this, the connection point,
Right.
that the specific word of aroma,
Literally.
it's like it shows a few things. So number one, it shows that Jesus is the fulfillment of the sacrificial system. It shows that his death is the perfect and final offering that's pleasing. So that means that that's why we don't have to do sacrifices.
Right.
And it's not because of a ritual that we have this worship. It's because of Christ's sinless life, love, and obedience, which that's referenced in Hebrews 10:12. And so there is a graph. We're gonna throw it up on the screen, but you can see this little graph here.
Okay.
So it walks you through this pleasing aroma because I don't know why I got so stuck on this word aroma. So you see Noah's sacrifice in Genesis 8, where it's faith and obedience, and it's a burnt offering of animals. Like I said, that was the pleasing aroma.
Right.
And then with Christ's sacrifice, it's referenced as a fragrant offering, which that's just so cool. And it's because of that perfect obedience. And he is the once and for all sacrificed. And so when we go into what worship is post Christ, we see that it's a union with Christ, and spiritual praise that we're able to offer.
Yeah.
So I know that that's not specifically on Noah, but I just felt like that takeaway is just huge. That it's all the way through.
Right.
And it's just so satisfying that there's like a complete circle.
Yeah.
A complete circle. What else do we have in here? Okay, so this speaks a little bit more on the worship that after Christ's sacrifice, worship is literally transformed because we're no longer sacrificing the animals, but the sacrifice itself has been transformed by the gospel. So in Romans 12, just as like a few more points here, is you spoke about this with your body being a temple. with the dies.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to jump into it, but I didn't want to give too much stuff away. So in Romans 12, it mentions that present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God,
Mm-hmm.
which is your spiritual worship.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, you could argue that by eating and consuming dies,
Mm-hmm.
you're destroying your temple.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I can go back. I could,
Yeah.
because of that, I might need to change my mind.
What,
Maybe to make sure that the temple is staying clean.
cleansed and clean. But I think that's where, from a biblical standpoint, as much as I could say, like, your body, my body's a temple and I want to keep it cleansed and clean, that's where God has grace for free will, for your ability to, like, hey, I like to, I think just educationally, like, I can indulge in sour strips
Yeah.
and understand the repercussions, but it's not something that I unknowingly will do continuously, that it completely disrupts this temple.
Yes. And then just like to wrap up here, just on this worship piece,
Mm-hmm.
it's an ongoing praise, confession, and gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
It's Christ centered. So through him,
Yeah.
our worship is acceptable. And I don't have it written down, but we keep saying with free will.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it was in James that um, the point I wanted to highlight is that actually, no, I don't even want to go into that. My bad. I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't want
Right.
to misspeak. I don't even want to.
No, I hear you. I think just to kind of add some 2 cents to it, especially because one, I think it's really neat being able to pull, connect the dots, right? Have that full circle, and then understand like how we can't take for granted the time that we live in for where we are in that cycle.
Yeah.
And to be our ability to, our aspect and version of praise and is through worship. And I think it's really neat because like, you talk to, and fellowship with other people like within a Christianity culture, and like you hear that common phrase of like, I feel closest to God when I'm worshiping, right? And like literally that is what it's for. It's so to bring you to bring you as close as you can get outside, or I would say probably outside of prayer, to God. And I think what's really neat to it is the fact that like I've had my own like battles with worship, like with worship music, like where I am the person in church where it's like I'm feeling it, but I don't really feel it. And I think it also depends on like how you like. If you grew up in church, like I grew up in church, we sung hymns. Okay, we sat down, we read them things out of the book because we were in the pews, and so the ability to like to understand what worship music is now and the outward praise of expression that people have when they're singing along, or you're listening to your worship team. I was generally that person was like, I'm feeling it. This is not what I grew up to. I don't have any outward expression. Like none of this was happening to me. And like I'll attest to my wife. She's like, I've seen you grow within your connection to worship and be able to have that outward expression and feel comfortable doing so. Cause I'd be like, well, I'm literally just dinosaur T-Rex arms. Like, I feel it, Lord. And I feel you in this. Oh, this is a good one. But like, it just felt so unnatural to like bring him into that space and understand like these words that are being spoken over to situations or connection about love, all those things. And to now have a full circle understanding of, hey, what worship is, why you can feel comfortable in this space to have that outward expression, because it's not about how you look or how people receive you as in doing so. It's like, hey, this is your time to be as connected to God as you most importantly want to.
Yeah.
And I think that's so neat because I think I've come a circle for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely been a struggle for me, and I love how uh, Pastor he positions it as it's that point of surrender,
Yeah.
and it's also the attitude that you go into worship because there's plenty of times, and I've heard multiple pastors say this that not every Sunday morning you go into service and maybe you didn't have a good night the night before.
Right.
Not every morning you want to go in and actually go through worship,
Right.
but when you have that attitude of the continuous worship, or more so realizing the setting that you're in and the opportunity that you have,
Yeah, that part.
you're able to get into that mindset of worship. Um, but like I said, it definitely is difficult, and I haven't been able to pinpoint exactly why during service.
Mm.
It does almost feel like a disconnection. I think sometimes I focus too much like on the words that are being said, that are
Yeah.
being sung.
Mhm.
I just find myself like I'll just literally just be reading the words because I do
Okay.
enjoy like
Yeah.
the setting.
Yeah, yeah.
My favorite when I used to do sound, my favorite part of worship was there would be a moment in service because I would be in the back and like there would just be this moment where like the music would stop and people were just praising. So you just get like the actual praise of the congregation.
Yeah.
That would be my favorite part because I felt like I was able to worship through that.
Okay.
But I do think that something that probably could be spoken about a little bit more in service
Yeah.
is maybe like more of a deep dive on worship. Because even now, like I said,
Agree.
it's not just the first 20 minutes of service. Like
Mm.
that's what we tend to think that it is. It's just I'm gonna sing some
Mhm.
elevation
Yeah.
and okay, we did worship. Now we're gonna get into to XYZ.
Mhm.
But it's like they positioned here in Hebrews, it's this continuous worship throughout the day. On Tuesday at 5 p.m., you're still worshiping.
Right.
And I connect with that more so when I'm going through a fast.
Yeah.
It's like this because you're
You're c
literally
you're in a continuous state.
yes,
You're
you're just in
repetitive.
that flow state.
Yeah.
It's just constant. Like if I'm at work, I'm not relying on food to give me sustenance or to give me energy. I'm literally just in like a prayer
Mhm.
or whatever the case might be,
To
and
feed.
you can just be in that flow of continuous worship.
Mm.
I think that should be spoken on a little bit more in
Yeah.
today's church
Yeah, yeah.
to really position people's hearts a little bit different. And I'm speaking for myself too. I'm not saying speaking for myself to have that realization that you could just be in the car, no music on, and you're still worshiping. Or you can
Mhm.
be at Chuck E. Cheese
Yeah.
and they bring out the stale pizza and you're still worshiping.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
The stale cheese.
The stale cheese.
And you still worship it.
And it's so
He worshiped it, that's gonna plenish your body. I worship that to rebuke you will get back and bring me the real stuff. Nah, but no, but I think it's so good, because like I said, your worship can happen anywhere, any place, right? You can continue that worship and that continuation of like praising God, right? And I think, and I would say, I think I know for the fact of like, I've been in this position where it's like, we get, we wait till Sunday to be fed, right? Because I think what you're going with is like,
yeah.
we wait till Sunday to be fed, and then we expect that meal to last us Monday through Saturday, and it doesn't. It never does. And that continuation of being fed is, if it's not intentionally done on your own, it's not coming from anywhere. And I think that's where you kind of end up, getting the saying like the lukewarm, like Christians, where it's like, hey, you're lukewarm because you're going malnourished, right? Really, Monday through Saturday, and it's up to you Monday through Saturday to like keep replenishing, keep pouring in, keep worshiping, however you do that, whether that's being, and obviously there should be some structure to it. Like you should be within your Bible. You should listen to praising music. You should be mindful of what your eyes see and what your ears listen. So those are all, I think, all aspects. If you can have a source of control, like you just control your worship in all degrees, right? So, and then that I think that's where the difficult part is because no one has a plan to like, well, yeah, you need to be in your Bible 30 minutes a day at this time, and we give you availability within your schedule to do so.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't happen. Like people have to go to work, people have children, people have like their own aspects, but it's like you have to take control of that part of your life. And I think that's where things get a little, I feel like you got to understand how much you want it.
Yeah. It's the phrase, if you wanted to, you would. Like you can make time
Always.
because
Always.
that same mindset of only doing worship on Sunday
Hmm.
is the same. Like think about this because this doesn't make any sense. You wanna get in shape, but you're only gonna work out 1 day a week.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You're not just gonna work out 1 day a week. if you want to actually get in shape, you're going to work out multiple times throughout the week. You're going to be
100%.
very conscious about your food intake.
Yeah.
It's like it's a continuous thing that you're thinking about throughout the day because
Mm-hmm.
you can only eat certain things. Like let's
Yeah.
just imagine you're on a certain meal plan.
Mm-hmm.
So in that same breath, should we not have that same application to worship or being in our time, being in time
Mm-hmm.
with the Lord,
Yep.
not just pushing it to Sunday or not just going to Sunday, I feel so filled. And then
Mm-hmm.
Monday comes around and then you're listening to Young Vaughn
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the case might be. And you completely forget about
Right.
the message. Well, it should be,
Yeah.
7 days a week. Actually, I'll even go as far as saying Monday through Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
you're in your word.
Okay.
This would be amazing if this would happen.
Yeah.
I'm just setting up like the most optimal. Let's say Monday through Saturday, you're in your word, you're fellowshipping, you're doing like, let's just say like Bible studies with people throughout the week.
Mhm.
And then on Sunday, you're utilizing the church as you're coming like a one mind, one body, like you're coming together,
Right.
and then you're able to help the needs of the people that are in the church or
Mm-hmm.
help the community.
Right.
There's probably a lot of discussion or a lot of disagreement that could go into that very statement, but it
Mhm.
kind of ties back to when the church first started in Acts and they had like, you could call it home church setup. They were in church every single day
Yeah.
and they were meeting the needs. They were growing by multitudes.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day they were in church. Now, obviously, not everyone has the time to be in hours worth of church.
Right.
But like I said, if you wanted to, you would. You could make 30 minutes, hop on a Zoom,
Mm.
and you're doing a devotion with X amount of people, or you have people coming over,
Yeah.
and then you're meeting the needs that are in that community or that are in your community. And then on Sunday, you're coming together as like a congregation,
Right.
as one body. I don't know. That's a little bit different of how church is structured.
Mm.
Literally has nothing to do with Noah, but
Yeah.
it's just a different mindset that I think Western churches could begin to adopt to
Yeah.
really live out what we see in Acts.
Of course.
That's like my biggest thing is, could we get back to that?
Mm-hmm.
Could we get like you see all the no, not crazy. Well, yeah, I'll say it. You see all the crazy miraculous things that happens in Acts.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how the setup was.
Yeah. Yeah.
That setup does not reflect what we see today.
Yeah.
So what would happen? I don't know.
Right.
If you took that blueprint,
Yeah. Yeah.
applied it to today,
Of course.
and you could probably see communities start to change. It would completely change the dynamic of church because you wouldn't have one church, you would have churches.
Right.
My house is a church, your house is a church.
Yeah.
And with that, you have to make sure that you have disciples that are
Mm-hmm.
speaking in line with the gospel.
Right.
So that could be a whole another thing, but just an interesting point
Right.
to bring up. And we'll get into this part with kind of like the fall or the downside of Noah is although he led his family into this new world and he was, you could say anointed because, God is speaking to him. We still see this downside with Noah where in this new world, he plants a vineyard
Mm-hmm.
and he becomes a drunkard, basically. And so a good talking point there, and I think we've seen this multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
is how do we respond to moral failures of spiritual leaders?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start off by, I'm not going to say names, but
Okay.
there is, when I was, I guess coming out through high school, there was a very, very prominent preacher.
Mm-hmm.
He was like tatted up. Like he was like my ideal.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reason why I want to have a lot of tattoos literally came from this preacher,
Okay.
and he would always come to our town and do his thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I looked up to him as like role models,
Right.
and was always watching his sermons, always like reading his books or whatever.
Okay.
And a few years after that, it came out that there was essentially an affair that he had taken a part in.
Okay.
And it was devastating in the sense that not for me personally, because I know where I'm at in my relationship with Christ,
Mm-hmm.
but there are so many people that are now swayed from the whole Christian
Right.
thing.
If I can
Because
have the him.
right, because they put all of their hope into
Yeah.
this man,
Mhm.
and they see that he did wrong. So it erases all of those sermons
Right. Yeah.
in the mind of the congregation,
Yeah.
it just puts a wedge. And so I always wonder how many people he uh, just turned in the wrong direction.
Right.
And that's something that he has to live with. But on that specific question is how we respond with it
Mm-hmm.
for spiritual leaders. I think the biggest thing is that he's a man,
Right.
just like David, just like Noah.
Yeah.
You can't put spiritual leaders on pedestals.
Mm-hmm. No.
It, there is a reason why we can have a personal connection with Christ. We don't have to
Right.
go to someone to have a personal connection.
Mm-hmm.
So when you don't have a personal connection and you're relying on the spiritual leader, then they let you down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, since they let me down, therefore God has let me down.
Yeah.
And then you completely turn away from the faith. And so that's just the realization of, okay, wow, this is a man. This is something that he now has to live with. And I'm sure that it completely like haunts him. And so I've been able to, because I was actually like literally upset with the guy, but I've been able to
Like
separate that.
like dissociate.
Yeah.
Action versus
And
connection.
like he has I've listened to his podcast and like the thought process and the stuff that he's worked on,
Uh-huh.
and it just highlights that no one is what's the word? Uh, no one is not subject to temptations and sins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that I mean our pastor is very transparent with things on stage,
Yeah.
more so than I thought that he would be,
You're right.
and it just highlights that hey, everyone's going to struggle.
Right. Yeah.
And so when you put spiritual leaders
Mm-hmm.
on these pedestals, that is where it becomes very dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
especially for people who are newer in faith.
Yeah.
That's where because it's so appealing to want to be like you see someone that's on stage and you want to idolize. It's very, very easy. And then for some people, they lean into that a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And that can just create a very toxic environment, I think.
Right. To kind of get my viewpoint on that real quick. Uh, I think it could be very dangerous when you tether your faith to someone and not to the one, right? And I think that could be very, very dangerous because you're not connected to the true source. And I think that for me, I've never really had it's never really affected me in any form, like celebrity, artist, athlete, where it's like I have an idol. I've never really had that, but I can see where the negative side to that comes from. But I think when you were speaking over, hey, some people do have that, right? And that can create a really big construct, like in this scenario, right? Um, One thing that's kept replaying to me that that I kind of like I lean into and in different avenues in my life, but like the true understanding of like I have first we're thinking of just idol, but I'm gonna put it in like a parent standpoint, right? You have like you can have your earthly father and then you can have your heavenly father. And there's gonna get a time where you have to understand that your earthly father can only teach you so much. And there is a stopping point to what he knows, what he understands, and what he can articulate to you. And beyond that, when you've got questions on who you are and how your faith should be led, and that's where it's like you need to then build that personal connection to your heavenly father,
Right.
to be able to really just have a strengthen your faith to where like something like that couldn't happen,
Yeah.
because it always can happen. There's temptation everywhere. It's not, you're not, so there's no person high enough to avoid it. So there's always a possibility. But I think for an individual, and I think it also comes down to the person that's preaching too, is like, hey, like take what I have, especially if I'm speaking it from the text, like take this as I'm saying it from the words of someone else. Yes, you're hearing from my voice and maybe some things through my viewpoint, but if you read the same text on your own, you may articulate it in a different manner than how I perceive it. And just really giving people the space to understand, like, your faith is a two-way street between you and God. It's not a three-way street. Like, I have a hand into making sure this is available and you know where to go. But, like, when it comes back down to it, you should still come back and still read over it. And so that way that internal voice that you hear from yourself when you read things, that is also getting fed. because then it's you can comprehend it. But just I would say to that individual that has like that icon type of thing, it's like, hey, you have an earthly father and you have a heavenly father, and your earthly father only take you so far.
Yeah. So many talking points to go through that men, young men, unk, big bro can apply and just to live through. So I will say this. Thank you for watching. This is